All right. Well, welcome, Prakash. Very excited to have you here today. You've had a wealth of experience in our industry, so it'd be great to hear a little bit about your background and what you're seeing with customers. So I always like to start this off with, how did you become a CEO? You either do all of the jobs and you become the CEO, or you are doing all of the jobs day one and you are the CEO. So would love to hear your background, and where you started, and then where you are today and where you're going.
Well, thank you so much, Ben, and really appreciate you all joining us here. It is a little bit of both, as you mentioned. So my background is I've been blessed to be part of networking, infrastructure, security for almost 20-ish years. And during that time, majority of the time in my initial career was spent around networking infrastructure, mostly around load balancers and stuff, and then later part was spent around remote access, secure access, zero trust, and we're going to talk a lot about where it's headed and all of that. I've been here at Cloudbrink for almost 4 years. Prior to that, I was at a company called Pulse Secure, which was prior to COVID was, I believe, second most frequently deployed remote access service globally. Was deployed by more than 80% of global 2000s across the world. I was the chief portfolio and technology officer there, so I had the front seat to see how the whole transition from where we were pre-COVID into this new world came together. Before that, I was at Citrix, where I worked on building out and launching the Citrix Unified Gateway service, which is their remote access service. So looking forward to having the conversation here, Ben. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Prakash. So, I think it's always interesting to kind of understand from your perspective how you've seen customers mature their security.
Yes.
And also mature how they do business. So I'd love to kind of hear the arc of kind of what you learned at Citrix, what you kind of saw at Pulse Secure. What were those challenges, and have those challenges just been exacerbated, or are there new challenges that customers are having, across different industries? And love to hear your perspective on that.
Oh, wonderful. I'll share two major learnings, you can call it failures, whatever, through this journey. VPNs back in the day, they were built with this mindset that in case you have some kind of a natural calamity and you've got a thunderstorm or a snowstorm coming in, and you want your people to be safe, so you don't want them to be coming to office but working from home. During those times, how can you provide a dial tone service back to your end users? So if they've got mission critical things for which they need to connect back, they have a way to connect back. But since then, obviously, people and application data are moving at unprecedented pace. During that duration, I think there were two things, at least on our side, I failed to recognize at that time. Hindsight is always 2020. The first one is when we started thinking about mobility, we thought that mobility will be associated with these devices, and hence you guys have seen a huge trend, at least around 2012, 2017, that duration around MDMs that came out. And a lot of people loved the initial concept, but it did not really get the level of penetration for reasons because we were building this device right here was center of attraction there. And what happened was oftentimes customers will push back saying that, hey, our users have bought they stood in line back in the day. They stood in line outside the Apple store. They bought a $1,200 device. And now when they're trying to take pictures of their loved ones, their pets, all of that, IT is blocking those services, right? So that was the first mistake, that when we think about mobility, while devices and all of those things are enabling us, it's really people that we need to care about. That when people move, regardless of the device they use, how do we make sure we continue to give them the tools that they need to be productive? The second big mistake was we thought that now that we have learned it is not the device, it's the people aspect. Well, we thought that it's going to take, this is a generational shift. As new generation of people come into workforce, they are going to require a certain level of freedom. in every time you look back in the history, every time you tap into a generational shift, it usually takes good 7 to 10 years for that generational shift to become mainstream trend. Well, that was our second mistake. Nobody could have ever predicted COVID happened overnight. Everybody turned into a person working from anywhere, all of that. So those were the two major learnings. Now, fast forward, what we hear speaking with CXOs, both locally here in United States as well as globally, is that it's not about, really, the fight is not around bringing people back into office or going 100% remote. It's really about giving options to people. So I think majority of the industry now agrees that hybrid work is the way to go. And to make hybrid work possible, it's the same set of people on both sides when we're in office versus when we're working from home. What's different is the tools and the technology platform that we use. So oftentimes we hear from CXOs that when people are inside the office, they're far more productive, but when they're working from home or other places, then they're limited to that infrastructure. So the big ask these days, at least what we hear, is can we deliver the same level of productivity no matter where people are working from? And that's a problem that is quite challenging, right? Because once people are anywhere, everywhere, it's not our enterprise networks that we get to maintain. It's not an SLA that we can push to our vendors to deliver for our end users. There are a whole bunch of unknowns, and we need to deliver a certain level of enterprise SLA on those unknowns that are out there, that our customers are exposed to.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. I liked your comment about MDM, right? It was a very, just like VPN, it was just like, let's solve this one pinpoint problem, right? And then, oh wait, there's still a lot of other problems. This didn't solve it. Of course it didn't. And then your comment around your work from home or work from anywhere, I'll call it. There's different industries that need this in different ways. So one of my first roles was working in healthcare consulting. I remember having a VPN, having a laptop, VPNing into the healthcare network, VPNing into the different applications that we used with very sensitive data, right? And that was a consultant on the road type thing, right? So there's people who are on the road, they're in the field, right? They're in front of a patient, they're working on a site, and then there's the nurse who's visiting patients, right? And then you have the person just working in their office every day, right? But all of those different situations require different connectivity, may have bad connectivity and reliability, and then two, need the security depending on the type of industry and the sensitivity of the work, right? But typically, it's very sensitive when these people are working and going to visit patients and things like that. So maybe talk to us a little bit about kind of the different situations that you see the workers in. Are these mainly workers, working in a coffee shop? Are they working at home? Are they visiting, patients? And what kind of connectivity and challenges do they have that you guys are working to address?
Yes, again, great question, Ben. Agree with you 100%. And to answer your question, it's all of the above. So let me give you a couple of examples. You've got even the most techiest of the community needs help. One great example is we work with gaming providers, some amazing gaming studios, people who are building next generation metaverse applications. And these applications are very heavy applications. Well, lately, we haven't talked about it, and hopefully later on we talk about the whole notion of AI and everything. But lately, applications have become quite immersive applications. So even if let's say you're building a metaverse application and you just don't like the skin tone of a particular character and you just want to adjust the tint just a tiny bit, well, that small change, that might be a 30-second, a minute worth of code change that you're doing, but you have to pull in a 2 gigabytes of repository on your platform, make the change and push that repository back. So a common thing that we see some forward-looking enterprise struggling is when the developer is in the office, those 2 days when they are inside the office, they're able to do 8-10 code check-ins. But when they are on the go, it's summertime, people are everywhere. I mean, we are here in Bay Area. I'm dialing in from Bay Area. Ben and you guys are here as well. We all know that the young generation, they move to Lake Tahoe. Some people are going to Utah. Some people are into climbing and stuff like that. Some people like to travel to European places during these times, right? So these people are coming from anywhere, everywhere, and their struggle is that, hey, we're working twice as hard and we can barely do 2 to 3 code check-ins. So the ask is, how do we deliver a platform that allows them to just be as much productive as when they were inside the office and able to do 8+ code check-ins wherever they are coming from, right? So you've got a digitally advanced community which is still in need for an upgrade on their enterprise infrastructure and security. Well, at the same time, you look at a completely different community. Those can be your law enforcement officers. You talked about you talked about nurses. Well, travel nursing, there has been a big shortage. Travel nursing is a big thing. So we see that quite a bit, that you have travel nurses, and sometimes you just simply cannot fulfill the need of healthcare practitioners in a particular area. So people are building virtual platforms. And so we run into challenges where both patient as well as provider dialed into the platform on some kind of a virtual conferencing platform where they can share their challenges or problems they may be facing. For one reason or the other, the patient satisfaction is simply not there. Now, patient satisfaction in itself is one could overcome that. Okay, sure, we didn't have the perfect resolution call, stuff like that. But very quickly you walk into dangerous territories, right? What if a doctor is not able to hear the patient's allergies, and what if there was some challenge in the conference call? Because of that, the treatment got impacted as well. So very quickly we get into a situation where critical services like this will become almost mandatory to deliver again healthcare services and others.
Yeah, so we're all living, I think, we're living in a hybrid work, but we're living in a virtual world. Yes. For the majority of this, right? Even in the office. So I guess tell us a little bit about the founding of the company. How did you kind of come up with the idea? Yes. What were some of the conversations you had with investors and customers and partners? Why were you so passionate about solving this problem? Because as a CEO and founder, you wake up every day trying to change the world. So love to hear your story.
Yes, well, it all ties back into what we have discussed so far. When you are blessed enough to be at the front row seat on some of these technologies, I firsthand experienced how organizations scrambled their people to go from 100% in office into work from anywhere, everywhere. And while we were able to use traditional methods to be able to support these new world demands, it was becoming very clear that the enterprise architecture and the offerings that are in the market were simply not built for this new world. So the idea was, very early on, we started having these conversations with global CIOs, CISOs, CXOs, and we asked the same question over and over, which is, let's say if hybrid work is to stay as is, and I'm talking about conversations in late 2020, right? At that point in time, everybody thought that, hey, we'll be back to normal in next week or stuff like that, right? So we said, if this were to continue as is, meaning the population, the younger generation wants this level of freedom, then how would you re-architect the network given the choice? And after about, I would say about 20 or so conversations, Ben, it all started aligning, which is everybody started talking this along the same lines, which is before we talk about this worker anywhere, let's focus on what we have done when they arrive in office. So when you and I arrive in office, majority of IT investments, time, money, resource, all of that has gone into three areas, which is you find an office building. The moment you find an office building, you bring some kind of an internet connectivity into the office. This can be MPLS, this can be dedicated T1, SD-WAN, whatever, connectivity of your choice. You want to make sure when people are inside the office, they have the fastest access to internet and rest of the worldwide network. Okay. The second thing is, once you have this big pipe coming in, you want some kind of a role-based access control. So marketing team can do their activities, engineering can do their activities, etc., etc. And then the third and last thing is, when you and I are in the office, we never have to worry about security. The entire office is secured by some kind of a perimeter firewall of the enterprise's choice. So you've got connectivity, access, security. And as I said, all of these folks have the experience of now moving from one big office into small branch offices, right? Because these are all large global environments, and they've gone through this journey. So their ask was, we know what happens when people move from big offices into small branches. We created a closet space, and in that closet space, we did SD-WAN for connectivity. We did some kind of a role-based access control, 802.1x, or my Wi-Fi access point had role-based access control, and we had some kind of a UTM device or a small firewall for our branch office. So we were able to deliver connectivity, access, and security. Mm-hmm. Their ask was, now what moved from office to branch office needs to go all the way to end users, and think of that as branch of one. No matter where the user is, we want to deliver the same enterprise grade level of connectivity, access, and security. And so that was a humongous challenge. Everybody said, hey, it looks nice talking through these things, etc., but I don't think it is possible. And being a technologist, you would appreciate when challenges like this come. They don't come every day. And again, I was just blessed to be surrounded by just amazing people who all saw the same challenge, and we all came together and we said, this is the challenge we are gonna tackle. And fast forward, that's what Cloudbrink is today. You download Cloudbrink app, your device becomes a personal SD-WAN router. It will start accelerating any device, your phone, laptop, whatever. It will start accelerating your network. It will give you enterprise grade reliability on a coffee shop networks or your home consumer grade internet connections. It has built-in RBAC, and your device becomes a deny-all firewall. So that's kind of what we've been up to, and we really hope that we are able to. We have been companies globally have deployed Cloudbrink, and our hope is to continue to showcase the art of possibility here, be able to deliver that in-office secure experience to your people anywhere, everywhere.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of simplify here, but you're essentially providing a networking security in a box to the end user at their home, right?
Correct. That box is your device. It's an app you download. The box is your iPhone. The box is your MacBook or your Windows, whatever. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So I think that it's always really interesting to hear like what customers are having a hard time with and how you can solve those problems. But as you've kind of been on this journey, how has that problem changed and shifted? And where are the areas that you're helping lead customers because they just don't know that they have the problem versus, yeah, I just know I can't get the same productivity when I'm in the house. So tell me a little bit about the maturity you see with customers, both on the very advanced customers, which I'm sure were the ones you were talking to 4 years ago, because they'll talk to a startup, to some of the companies that you're engaging now who are just kind of starting their journey.
Yes. Again, great question. When a customer is advanced, majority of the conversations are really around well, I don't think this is really possible, but we were amazed by what we have heard. Usually they have heard about Cloudbrink through either their colleagues or through one of our campaigns, stuff like that. So it's really around show me the money kind of a situation that, hey, come here, show us what you can do. Which is just an amazing thing, because that's exactly where we want to be. We want to showcase what, when you bring the right set of technology together, what can you get? What is that possible outcome that you can imagine? So we are having a lot of those conversations with our mature set of customers. With our leading edge customers.
Sure.
Now, there are industries that simply cannot afford to be on leading and bleeding edge. And there, the conversation is as much about productivity, security, as it is about operational excellence as well. We are in a unique economic situation here. Sometimes you will see markets are performing really well, but when you double click, they're performing well because there is a lot of focus around cutting down the workforce, driving more efficiencies and stuff like that. So as great as the economy is, in our conversations, pretty much every organization, IT organization around, at least what we see, the budgets are at best flat if they're not declining, right? So in that situation, the thing that resonates really well for our customers is we're taking a piece of infrastructure and converting that into SaaS service. And that's the best example is, think of you deploying email server. Back in the day, you have to install a Windows server, and you have to install domain controller, SMTP, all of that. And today you can just go to office.com and sign up for an account and assign users, right? So that's what brings joy to our customers, that you don't have to deploy any hardware, you don't have to worry about any networks, you don't have to deploy any gateways, virtual or physical gateways. You just go to a portal, subscribe to the service, push the app to your end users, and everything just works. So that operational excellence is what is driving us. I'll give you a wonderful example. We just onboarded a major insurance provider. They had a team of 7 people. They had a team of 10 people, who's brought down to 7 people maintaining this infrastructure. After moving to Cloudbrink, I've been told that that team is now moved out of this project to do other IT projects, because there isn't really anything to manage, and the ticket load has gone down significantly as well. So those are the kind of things that we see. Operational excellence now picking up quite a bit and becoming a decision factor for IT buyers.
Okay, so I think there's a Venn diagram between your technology and a lot of different markets and different technologies. So, I guess what are the markets that you intersect with, and what kind of conversations you have with customers who say, like, okay, well, I've already solved this problem, I already have this thing, and it's fine, and we're getting what we need. Help everyone understand kind of where that intersection is and where the gaps are, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, everyone is kind of at least thinking about zero trust architecture and all of that. And one of the big things as industry we have to appreciate is we have to become much more open, so we can collaborate with each other, so that as a end user, as the enterprise is getting best of all breeds. So in our world, the intersection points, if I start from that end user all the way to when they are accessing an application, is being able to interact with some kind of a device or inventory management system, whether it's one of your like Jamf-like system or Microsoft SCCM kind of system. So we integrate with a lot of them, where our apps we make it easy for customers to distribute our apps. Once the app is present on the end user device, then they will pop up on the app. It will do its own checks to make sure the device is healthy, all of that, and then it will prompt an identity to the end user. So while we do support multi-factor, one-time passcode, those kind of functionalities on our platform, we do integrate with all major identity providers. So that's the second intersection on that Venn diagram with Cloudbrink and identity providers. So will allow enterprises to integrate identity into that. Once the identity is integrated, then you want to additionally check if the user with their device after identity are compliant or not. And that's where an internal XDR or EDR kind of a system kicks in. Again, while Cloudbrink has a full developer option, as an IT admin, you can write whatever script you want to write in our app so that it checks your end user's device. We also integrate with all, again, major XDR, MDR, EDR vendors out there. Once the device is clean, user is onboarded, all of that, you connect back, and that's where we will start integrating with your firewalls. If a customer has a secure web gateway in place, we'll start integrating with that. Your routing, switching. If the customer has infrastructure in multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, we've got deep integrations into all major tier 1, tier 2 providers and all of that. So our goal really is to make sure we make it as simple as possible for enterprises to be able to connect their people to applications, no matter where those applications are.
Got it. Okay. Is there any intersection with your technology with other newer things like enterprise browser, like SSPM, software security posture management?
Yes.
How are you kind of seeing that in your world as you're kind of interacting with customers?
Yes, again, great question. I only touched on mature technologies. We do run into these new technologies as well. Secure browser, all of those things are not new to the industry. While there is a newer way of delivering it, far more efficient way of delivering it, those are not new. So we have built the platform in a way that it interacts with whatever additional functionality that is delivered to that end user from a secure productivity point of perspective. Ben, the thing is that at Cloudbrink, at least we push to make sure we don't come across as an infrastructure company, but we're a productivity tool. And once you become productivity tool, onus is on us to make sure we deliver those seamless integrations into all the rest of the infrastructure aspect that an enterprise may have.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, that kind of brings us to now. Maybe tell us a little bit about where you guys are going. What your customers are looking to bring you guys, and then what you're excited about in the industry. I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
We have barely scratched the surface, Ben. Every day, our internal channel will continue to get amazing feedback. Let me just read you this quick feedback. Obviously, I cannot name the customer here, but one of our sales engineers says that, hey, I just want to share with everyone here. We just started our POC a few hours ago with XYZ. And on our first call, we got them set up in the UI and published a few applications. Within an hour of the meeting, we just got this back from the customer, and it reads, first test in all capital letters. It reads, resounding success. Our London employee is connecting directly to our US West Coast servers, seeing speeds up to 500 Mbps. Prior to this, he was getting anywhere from 10 to at most 80 Mbps, right? So those are the kind of things that excites you, that you're not 1x, 2x better. You are a 10x, 30x better than the next best guy. So we feel like there is just so much to do out there to enable people to be securely productive no matter where they are. And that's been our focus area. We've been growing tremendously, and our goal is to, again, continue to show that given the new platform that is now available at our disposal, the new algorithms that are available at disposal, these kind of things are possible for an enterprise IT team, and that will be our focus.
Cool. All right, Prakash. Well, thank you for joining the podcast. It's great to have you on, and we appreciate our conversations we've had so far. And thanks for sharing both your story, how you guys came up with the idea, and how customers are thinking about leveraging you to enable their business. So thanks for joining today.
Thank you, Ben. Big fan of you guys. Thank you so much for having me here. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks.